Ladies and gentlemen, I did the impossible. I watched all of One Piece in 3 months. And in the big year of 2025, you tell somebody that they should watch One Piece, they look at the episode count and then they hit you with this face. But luckily for me, I met the requirements for someone who could watch One Piece in 3 months, which is be an incel, have no friends, and have no fucking hobbies. And this all began in 2023 when I decided to tackle the tall task of catching up to One Piece. Now I know what you're thinking, you said in 3 months, is this a clickbait title? No, and I'm gonna explain how it's not later, and I'll also be giving my thoughts on the shows and a few characters in it. So back in 2023, I made the decision that I was gonna catch up on watching One Piece. And for a month of watching it, I got all the way up to Thriller Bark. Yes, the arc where the main villain is built like an unhealthy Mexican lady with 10 children. And the arc with the ugliest laughs of all time. Especially this hoe, I ain't gonna lie, bro, I wanted to Chris Breezy this hoe a couple times, bro. But I know Thriller Bark is pretty controversial, and no, I didn't stop watching because I didn't like the arc or I thought it was boring. I stopped watching because I got severe burnout from watching that many episodes that quickly. How bad of burnout, you may ask? So bad that I didn't watch One Piece again until freaking 2025. And here I am 2 years later. It took me 2 months to get all the way to Egghead Island and even be caught up to the modern episode as I watched the most recent one. And now that I've covered how I caught up in 3 months in total, it's time to actually talk about the show itself. Let's start by talking about the pirate crew that we mainly follow, the Straw Hat Pirates. And Luffy is a character that I sometimes absolutely love and I sometimes absolutely hate. Cause you see, I love logic, right? And sometimes Luffy looks at logic in the face and spits on it. Like 1 second I love Luffy because he'll live and die by his friends and he'll always have their back. And the next second he's barging into a castle with no plan and I'm like, cuz, what is you doing? Ain't gonna front, there was a couple times I wanted to pull a Cash Nasty on my laptop. But despite that he's an idiot, he's still my favorite character in the series. As for Zoro, I think Zoro is a really good character just because of how cool he is, his presentation, the fights that he's in, and the dynamic that he has with his crew that he tries to keep their head on straight. As for Sanji, I describe him the same way as Luffy. Sometimes I love him, sometimes I hate him, but low-key, sometimes I hate him more. Like, bruh, I think he has really good moments, right? But then there's moments where I'm like, alright, bro, we get it, cuz you love women. Like, bruh, every time a woman is in his face, he act like he never seen a woman before, and even despite that, despite all the sipping he doing, he getting no punani. And as for the rest of the crew, Frankie, Nami, Nico, Robin, Chopper, I like them too. I really like Jinbei, like his abilities, the fact that he's a fisherman. I like a lot about Jinbei, a loyal type. And I'm not saying this because I think they're not important to the show. Of course they are. I just don't really care much for them to describe them each individually. Oh yeah, I forgot the name Usopp. Yeah, nigga, I ain't gonna lie, I don't like Usopp like that. But as of recently, compared to what he was early in the show, he's a lot more bearable. But now it's time to talk about something I like about One Piece and I don't like. Now, besides the fights and the animation, my favorite part of One Piece is the world building after every arc or in between every arc. Every time there's a new bounty, every time there's a new world event going on around, not only do we get a huge lore drop, but just the vibes of the episodes are usually just great, bruh. My favorite example of this is the one that we got in Wano when we learned about the bounties of each emperor. Now, something I don't like about One Piece, as a matter of fact, hate about One Piece, is the goddamn plot armor. Now, look, I have terrible memory, so I don't really remember Skypiea, but I remember Jits getting clapped left and right in Skypiea and then just being fine. Bruh, I remember in Alabasta, bruh, when they was painting this bone to be the end-all be-all, so they had this bird freaking fly in the sky to save the city. And when you watch that, you're like, oh man, that was the build-up of this whole arc. And then he took it to the sky to sacrifice for his princess and for the civilians of the city. Until they go, nope, actually he's still alive. And my simple problem with this is when they do things like this, it takes away from the moments and all the building you did about the ultimate threat just for everybody to survive. Well, they wasn't that threatening in the first place. But there's not a show out there that doesn't have a flaw, and most of the time it's bearable. The only thing that wouldn't be bearable to me is if Kaido and Big Mom came back, because that would literally eliminate the purpose of the 200 episodes in Wano. Anyway, let's talk about where we are now, which is Egghead Island. Just based off of what we already got lore-wise and fights-wise, this is literally already my favorite arc in One Piece, and we only got the first half. The second half, we're gonna get some crazy fights too. And I feel like we're gonna get some crazy lore, as there's a lot of crazy lore characters in this arc. And I'm gonna end this video with a hot take. Gear 5 is the best transformation in anime. But there's not a transformation in any show ever that I've watched where I was genuinely this entertained while watching a fight. And I'm not even just talking about the gear itself, like the transformation itself, but the animation is always next level when it happens. And every time I know it's about to happen, I get hyped. But yeah, that's how I caught up, and that's some thoughts that I have about the show. And now that I've caught up, I plan to cover every new episode that comes out. So if you're watching this, you're a One Piece fan, bro, I think you should subscribe because I'm gonna review weekly. Also, down in the comments, if you didn't watch One Piece Along the Road, which I'm assuming you didn't because it came out in 1999, unless you're an old head, let me know how long it took you to catch up to One Piece. What's your favorite thing about it? What do you hate about it? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite? Like, bro, just tell me some things, how you feel about One Piece, how you feel about the current arc, what's your favorite arc? Like, bro, I want to know all that, bro, because I'm now a part of y'all niggas, you know what I'm saying?